Hey there. Today we're taking a deep dive into Elder Jeffrey R. Holland's April 2020 General Conference Address, A Perfect Brightness of Hope.
Okay.
Now, I know what you're thinking,
Hmm.
another speech about hope.
Right.
But trust me, this one's got a twist.
Okay.
We're going to time travel back to the early 1800s
Yeah.
and explore the hopes and dreams folks had back then.
I love that idea. It's like stepping into a time machine
Right.
and asking, what were people really yearning for spiritually?
Yeah.
And as Elder Holland points out, that's exactly what makes this speech so powerful.
Hmm.
It connects those longings to the very foundations of the restoration.
So paint me a picture.
Yeah.
It's 1820.
Right.
The world's a very different place.
Yeah.
What's missing? What are people longing for religiously?
Well, one of the biggest things was a clearer understanding of God.
Okay.
You see, back then, the dominant view of God was pretty, well, bleak. He was seen as this distant, judgmental figure, almost like a cosmic judge waiting to punish any misstep.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't a very comforting image.
I can see why people would be craving something more.
Right.
But was this just a theological debate, or did it have real-world implications?
Oh, it absolutely had real implications.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
If you believe in a God who's primarily focused on punishment,
Uh-huh.
it's hard to feel loved or accepted.
Yeah.
It can create a sense of fear and uncertainty in your life.
Right.
So naturally, people were yearning for a different kind of relationship with God.
And Elder Holland really highlights this, doesn't he?
does.
He talks about William Ellery Channing,
Yeah.
a prominent theologian of the time,
Right.
who expressed this longing for the parental character of God.
Exactly. Channing was basically saying, hey, we need to understand God as a loving father,
Yeah.
not just a stern judge.
Mm.
And that idea resonated with so many people
Yeah.
because it spoke to a deep, unmet need for a more personal, compassionate God.
It's amazing to see how these ideas were already circulating even before the Restoration. But hold on.
Okay.
Wasn't there some growing skepticism about religion in general during that era?
You're right. The 1800s saw a rise in what we might call religious skepticism.
Okay.
More and more people were questioning traditional doctrines and beliefs,
Uh-huh.
especially when it came to the figure of Jesus Christ.
So they're questioning God's nature. They're wrestling with doubts about Jesus.
Yeah,
It sounds like a pretty turbulent time spiritually.
it was.
Wow.
And in the midst of this uncertainty, another deep hope emerged.
Mm.
The hope for a more tangible, undeniable witness of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
People were looking for something to strengthen their faith,
Yeah.
something to assure them that he was real
Uh-huh.
and that his teachings are true.
So they're longing for concrete proof.
Yeah.
Something to bolster their faith.
Yeah,
I'm guessing this ties into the desire for additional scriptures that Elder Holland mentions?
absolutely.
Okay.
People were hoping for another testament of Jesus Christ,
Hmm.
a book that could solidify his teachings and provide further evidence of his divinity.
Okay.
It wasn't just about intellectual curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
It was about a deep-seated need for spiritual reassurance in a time of growing doubt.
Okay, so we've got the longing for a more loving God,
Yes.
the yearning for a stronger witness of Jesus.
Right.
What else were people hoping for in this spiritually charged atmosphere?
Well, there was also this growing awareness of the need for authorized priesthood authority.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
Baptism, the gift of the Holy Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
These are essential ordinances.
Yeah,
But who had the authority to perform them?
right.
This question weighed heavily on the minds of many.
It makes sense
Yeah.
if you believe in the importance of these ordinances,
Uh-huh.
but you're not sure who can administer them properly.
Right.
It would create a real sense of spiritual longing.
Precisely. And it wasn't just about individual salvation.
Mm.
People were also thinking about their families.
Oh, yes. This is where Elder Holland gets so personal, isn't he?
Yes, he does.
He talks about the yearning for eternal marriage, for that bond to continue beyond this life.
Right.
And he does it in such a relatable way,
Yes,
sharing his own deep love for his wife, Patricia.
he does. That part of the speech always gets me.
Yeah.
He says that even a heavenly mansion wouldn't feel complete without her.
Wow.
It speaks to that universal longing for connection,
Mm.
for a love that transcends time and space.
It's a powerful reminder that these spiritual hopes aren't just abstract concepts.
No.
They're rooted in our deepest human needs and desires.
They are. And speaking of those deep desires, we can't overlook the longing for temples.
Oh, yeah.
In the early 1800s, the idea of sacred spaces where families could be united for eternity,
Yeah?
where vital ordinances could be performed for loved ones who had passed on,
Right.
that was a profound hope.
Yeah.
A beacon in a world often shrouded in uncertainty.
It's fascinating to think about how all these hopes and yearnings were swirling around in the early 1800s.
Right.
But it's not just a history lesson, right? Elder Holland connects these longings directly to the events of the Restoration,
He does.
showing how those desires started to become a reality.
Precisely. What was once a heartfelt longing became a lived experience.
Wow.
It's like witnessing a seed of hope being planted, nurtured, and finally blossoming into something extraordinary.
Okay, so we've seen how the seeds of the Restoration were sown in the hearts of those seeking a deeper spiritual connection.
Right.
But Elder Holland doesn't just leave us in the 1800s, does he?
No, he doesn't.
He brings those hopes right into the present day, reminding us that the quest for a brighter future is an ongoing journey.
He does. And what's striking is how relevant his words feel.
Uh-huh.
Even though this speech was given a few years ago,
Yeah.
during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic,
Right.
he talks about the collective hope for overcoming that crisis,
Mm.
for a world where health and safety are paramount.
And it's not just about emerging from that specific crisis, is it?
No, it's not.
He delves into those persistent challenges that humanity has always faced.
Yeah.
Poverty, hunger, the need for education.
Yeah,
These are timeless hopes that resonate just as deeply today.
exactly. And he doesn't shy away from those more nuanced yet equally crucial aspirations, overcoming prejudice, ensuring personal dignity for all,
Yeah.
fostering genuine respect between people of different backgrounds.
Right.
It's a reminder that building a better world requires us to address both the material and the spiritual needs of humanity.
It's like he's saying that progress isn't just about technological advancements or economic growth.
Right.
It's about creating a society where every individual feels valued, respected, and empowered to reach their full potential.
Precisely. And that's where those two greatest commandments he emphasizes,
Oh, yeah.
love for God and love for our neighbor,
Uh-huh.
come into play.
Okay.
They're not just lofty ideals.
Right.
They're the very foundation for building a world where hope can flourish.
I love how he ties those timeless principles to our everyday actions.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder that even small acts of kindness and compassion can contribute to a brighter future.
Absolutely.
But it's not all about global issues, is it? Elder Holland also touches on those very personal hopes,
Yeah.
the kind that keep us up at night.
He does. He speaks to those intimate yearnings that we all grapple with at some point in our lives, strengthening our relationships,
Yeah.
overcoming personal challenges, finding peace amidst life's storms.
You mean things like mending a fractured marriage,
Exactly.
battling addiction, or
Yeah.
seeing a loved one return after straying from their path?
Right.
Those deeply personal struggles that can feel so isolating.
Exactly. And to illustrate this point, he shares the poignant example of Abraham and Sarah,
Okay.
longing for a child despite seemingly impossible odds.
Right.
It's a story that resonates across centuries, reminding us that even when hope feels distant, even when circumstances seem stacked against us,
Yeah.
with God, miracles can happen.
It's such a powerful reminder that we're not alone in our struggles.
Right.
That even those who we might consider giants of faith face their own moments of doubt and uncertainty. But what about those who are struggling to find hope within traditional religious frameworks?
That's an important point. And Elder Holland doesn't shy away from it.
Okay.
He acknowledges that there are those who feel disillusioned with organized religion, who are seeking answers and meaning elsewhere. And he's not afraid to critique those religious leaders who he believes haven't adequately addressed this growing trend.
He even uses that striking phrase, a thin gruel of therapeutic deism,
He does.
to describe what he sees as an inadequate response to this spiritual hunger.
Right.
What exactly does he mean by that?
He's essentially criticizing the tendency to water down faith into a feel-good self-help program, devoid of the depth and substance that true religion offers.
Right.
Therapeutic deism, as he uses the term,
Yeah.
is this notion that God exists, but he's primarily concerned with our personal happiness and well-being.
Okay.
It's a belief system that often shies away from the hard truths, the difficult questions,
Right.
the messy realities of life.
So it's this kind of God is my cosmic therapist mentality.
You've got it.
Like, He's there to make me feel good and help me achieve my personal goals, but not necessarily to challenge me or push me to become something more.
And Elder Holland sees this as a shallow substitute for genuine faith, one that ultimately fails to satisfy that deep longing for meaning, purpose, and connection to something greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
He's arguing that we need more than just a therapeutic pat on the back. We need a faith that grapples with the complexities of life, that offers solace in times of suffering, and that inspires us to become better versions of ourselves.
It's a bold statement, but it really makes you think. In a world that often prioritizes instant gratification and easy answers, he's calling for a deeper, more transformative kind of faith. It makes you wonder if maybe some of that disillusionment comes from a sense that religion has become too focused on rules and rituals and not enough on the deeper questions of the human heart.
That's a really insightful observation.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Elder Holland seems to be suggesting that we need a faith that nourishes both our minds and our souls, a faith that speaks to the complexities of our lived experiences.
So how does he ultimately tie all of this together?
Okay.
How does he frame the importance of hope in the face of these challenges, both collective and personal?
Well, towards the end of the speech, he delivers this incredibly powerful message about the vital importance of hope, especially when we're facing adversity. He emphasizes that losing hope is like losing our final source of strength.
And to really drive that point home, he quotes Dante's Inferno, that chilling inscription above the gates of hell. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here.
Oh, yeah.
It sends shivers down your spine, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
It underscores just how crucial hope is for navigating life's inevitable trials and tribulations. Without it, we're essentially surrendering to despair. But with hope, even in the darkest of times, we can find the strength to keep going.
It makes you realize that hope isn't just some fluffy, feel-good emotion. It's a powerful force that can sustain us through difficult times. A lifeline that keeps us afloat when the waves of despair threaten to overwhelm us.
Exactly. It's about looking back at what's been accomplished, seeing how God has worked in the past, and having the faith to press forward. It's about trusting that even when we can't see the way forward, even when things seem impossible, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
I love how Elder Holland connects this idea of hope to the very essence of the restoration.
Me too.
He reminds us that those early pioneers, those who yearned for a more loving God, a stronger witness of Jesus, a restoration of priesthood authority, they embodied that spirit of hope. They dared to believe that a brighter future was possible.
They did.
And their faith paved the way for everything we cherish today.
It's a powerful legacy.
It is.
And it's a call to action for us today. It's an invitation to embrace that same spirit of hope. To face our own challenges with courage and determination. To keep striving to build a better world. Both for ourselves and for generations to come.
So after this deep dive into Elder Holland's speech, what's sticking with you? What resonates the most?
For me, it's the reminder that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, hope fueled by faith and love can sustain us. It's about remembering that we're not alone in our struggles, that God is actively involved in our lives, and that he wants us to succeed. It's a message that speaks to the very core of our human experience. And it's one that I'll carry with me long after this conversation.
It's a beautiful thought, isn't it?
It really is.
And as we wrap up, here's a little something to ponder. If you could ask Elder Holland one question about hope and the future, what would it be? Keep that question in mind as you go about your day. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into A Perfect Brightness of Hope.